Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome to the First Ones to Die podcast. It is another episode with your lovely trio here. It is Jonathan, Alex, and Jerome coming at you today. We hope you're having a beautiful day. Was your day beautiful, Jerome? How was your day? How was your week? How is life?
It's been good. First of all, glad to be back home. Last episode, I was in Charlotte, coming at you from on the other side of the coast. So I'm glad to be back, actually, like comfy, cozy in my space. Even though it was a fantastic trip. Shout out to my cousin for getting married. I won't say their names so people won't be stalking them and whatnot, but but she knows who she is and she's incredible. Also, it's been a pretty cool week, man. I've been enjoying. I watched the stuff for Disney Plus Day today, so got to find out about more Marvel shows. I'm going to what's the word I'm looking for? Reluctantly watch, just because I love comic books too much to not watch these movies and shows. Um, but also, Flight Facilities released their new record, which I'm excited to be seeing them in January at the Neptune, and I already bought the ticket because I'm not gonna miss out on seeing Flight Facilities. The last time they were here was 3 years ago, so I'm not gonna miss out seeing them live. But also, Silk Sonic's album came out today as well.
I've been meaning to listen to that.
I listened to the whole thing at 1 a.m. I was jamming. Like, it was so good. I'm ready to listen to it a second, third, and fourth time. I'm loving Silk Sonic right now. So it's been a good week. It's been a good week.
Nice. How was your week been, Alex?
It's been okay. I actually bought a ticket to Comic-Con, Seattle Comic-Con, Emerald City Comic-Con.
Okay.
They're Sunday. I love going to the last one. I used to go all 4 days with my sister, but time's gotten a little hard, and also I just don't want to be around that many people anymore. I like the solitude of my little apartment. But I love going on the Sundays because I like to dig through those comic books and get like 15 comics for $5. It's always fun for me.
Listen, the back issue section is always the best part of Comic-Con, where you can just find comics that have been lost to time.
Yeah, I mean, I found one where like Wonder Woman kills Batman. It's been great. I love finding like the really cheap comics that you have to like, because I'll literally get on the floor and go under the table and go through those. But other than that, it's been a busy week at work, a little bit tired, but not kind of ready for that weekend where I'm going to sleep in tomorrow. So I'm excited for that. And Jonathan, where did you go?
I'm sorry. It was sorry.
So apparently Gibson was freaking out Jonathan earlier, staring at the floor. And when we looked back, Jonathan was gone. So I'm guessing he found the bug.
Yes, he was coming under he brought it, I guess, or something over to my chair and was chasing the bug. So
also, Jonathan, I will comment now that I can see like more of your body. Look like you've been working out, man. Look like you've been getting fit, hitting the gym. You look good.
Well, thank you. I don't know how to transition to that, but anyway,
have you been working out?
You gotta stay. LA is tough. You gotta stay in a certain amount of shape. So, but anyway, we'll move on from that. And the bug situation. My week was good. I went to a birthday party, a surprise birthday party for my friend Maddie. So happy birthday, Maddie. We ate at this restaurant called Tu Madre in West Hollywood, and it was very good. I had the fried chicken bowl. And other than that, it was 93 degrees today in LA. So very hot, but very welcome for me. And so that was exciting. And it was a good week overall as well.
Really quick with that bug thing though, I do want to warn you. Snowbell used to hunt bugs, but she wouldn't eat them. Instead, she would drop them by my face. I was laying on the floor in bed. So, if Gibson's starting to do that, I'd watch out for him. Because one time she brought a straight up spider. I thought it was dead, but it wiggled its little legs. And let me tell you, I almost fought that old cat for dropping a spider like that near my face. You can't do that. You can't do that. I was
She's
relaxed.
like, I've brought you my fresh kill, my liege.
It wasn't even dead. She's like, look, I hunted, you kill it. That's how it works.
It was dead enough for her. She's just like that.
Oh.
As good as it gets.
Fair warning with that if Gibson's gonna start bringing you bugs. Some of them may not be dead.
And I don't know what he was trying. He was like, he would step on the bug, but like still chase it. He wouldn't kill it. It was like it was a game for him. He was like torturing the bug. Anyway.
Oh. I went from sweet to okay. Anyway, the movie we're reviewing.
Yes, the movie we are reviewing is Clue, as Jerome mentioned. You buried the lead because you forgot to brag on yourself. You were the trivia champion last week. So is why yes, you currently have a lead on us 2-1. And the movie that you chose for us this week is the 1985 American Black comedy mystery film based on the popular board game of the same name, Clue. Now, at the end of the last week's episode, Alex was very excited about that. I had no clue about this movie. Well, I did have a clue about the movie, but I just haven't seen it.
Boo this man.
Yeah, I just haven't seen the movie. But yeah. Do we want to just get into our thoughts about it?
Since you're the odd man out because you haven't seen it, what'd you think now that you finally watched Clue?
Yeah, I had a good time with it. I specifically, especially, I guess, enjoyed Tim Curry. As we all know, Tim Curry, he is a legend. He is a Hollywood acting legend, genius, whatever we want to call it. I remember last year during Halloween, they did a live stream of Rocky Horror Picture Show, and it was like a live reading. It was like a half live reading, and then they had recorded performances, and Tim Curry was part of that, and being able to see him in his element, and being supported by his cast members because he did have a stroke, so his speech is, impaired. Mm-hmm. But just it almost made me tear up and everything, and I'm like, oh my gosh, Tim Curry. But yeah, seeing him in this, I didn't know who was in this. I didn't know that Tim Curry was in it. I just knew of the movie. But yeah, it was fun. And learning about like all those, like going online afterwards and learning about all of the different endings and stuff, because watching it, I was like, oh, this is interesting. Oh, it's one ending and then another. And then, oh, okay, this is apparently
I'll get into the
right
story of why that is later, because there is a reason for that as well.
Yeah, and I saw that. So it was interesting getting to read about that and learn about that. But yeah, I feel like if I had grown up with the movie, I would have a different take on it. But for now, I'm just like, oh yeah, it was fun. And I probably won't think too much about it afterwards, but.
Oh, I remember.
Whatever.
Yeah, I remember falling instantly in love with this movie as soon as I watched it the first time. I love every bit of it, from the cast to the premise, like the fact that, because, like, when you think about movies turned into, or board games turned into movies, like oftentimes it's kind of crappy. The last one we had was Battleship, I think, and that was like trash. And and then they're supposed to be making a Rock'em Sock'em Robots movie, to which I will say Vin Diesel's leading that, by the way. And I'm just like, we have that. It's called Real Steel. It already came out. We don't need another one. But apparently Real Steel wasn't the Rock'em Sock'em Robots movie. This is like an actual one for some reason. It's like they just don't know how to do them. Where they make sense. And surprisingly, Clue is the best one I've ever seen done, where they've taken a board game, its premise, characters, and done it like solid.
There's been a Monopoly movie, a Candyland
Monopoly
movie.
good?
I never saw Monopoly. I wasn't aware there was a movie. There's the Candyland, released in 2005. Candyland, The Great Lollipop Adventure, Battleship, and then the Ouija board movies.
Yeah, does Ouija board count?
It's a game.
I
It
guess
was literally a game created. It's created by like who are the people making all the toys?
Hasbro.
Yeah, it's made by Hasbro.
I wanted to pitch a Uno short film. I wanted to send a letter to Mattel to make it.
Was it after that catastrophic 48-hour long Uno game?
No,
it wasn't 48 hours.
Super Fight was 48 hours. Super Fight went on for 2 shifts.
Yeah, Super Fight went on for 2 days. Yeah.
Jerome, there's a word called hyperbole.
I'm just saying, you got to get it right. It was 2 hours. And yes, it was legendary. And yes, it did inspire me to want to do an Uno short film. The point is that Clue is so well constructed. I very few movies have I seen constructed as well as Clue is. And it's just amazing. I can't say much more than that. I love the cast. Also, I'm looking at the cast now. You want to talk about instantly fell in love with a person, like celebrity crush? Colleen Camp, back in the day, who she plays Yvette. She plays the maid. And as soon as she comes on screen, I was like, oh my God, I love that woman. I haven't heard her speak and I don't need to. She's beautiful and that's all I need to know. And she's French. That's a bonus. Like I love France and I love women who are pretty. So,
well, the actress is American.
I don't care. The character's French. But also, I love that her being like the stereotypical beautiful French maid was like the joke and a part of the comedy of the movie. I think it fit very well in the film, because she's not a character in the Clue board. I have Clue. When you open Clue up and you look at the characters you could play, Yvette ain't one of them. She was made up.
No, that's why she has a name.
Right. In fact, all of the characters who aren't part of the board game have a name. Wadsworth, Yvette, Singing Telegram Girl.
Well, yeah, it was to separate them.
Wadsworth, that's named after the guy who created the game.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I think. Yeah. The Waddingtons. Never mind. So maybe that's
Waddington. Probably.
But yeah, Alex, what do you think about the movie?
Was as excited as I was last week. It clearly shows that I do still love this movie from even the first time I saw it. When I was telling my mom, I'm like, I've never seen Tim Curry in anything. He's never done a bad role. There's never been a role I've seen him in and just been like, oh my God, why did he decide to do this? Anything and everything I have seen him perform in has just been absolutely amazing to me. Clue specifically, I just love the game was always one of my favorite games growing up. And we didn't get to play it a lot because me and my sister again are very competitive. Things always didn't end very nicely with us. But like it was always such a fun game because it's a clever game too. Mm-hmm. You have to figure out a few things and how everything works, or why they would even do it. And and this movie was done so well because it also didn't force the premise of the game. Like it didn't make it like, oh, it's exactly like the game. They can only go to this room and this room. They can only do this and this at the same time. This in itself was just a murder mystery that was just fun to watch.
That just so happens to be tied to Clue.
Yeah, and it's well tied, but it's not confined like they did with Battleship, or like I'm guessing probably what they did with the Monopoly movie too, and the Ouija board movie. I've seen those. Those were they weren't good. There's no need to see them. But like with Clue, you had the strong premise of the game, and the game itself does have a good backstory to it. And I think that's what a lot of the other games didn't have, and maybe that story was enough to be carried over, which honestly, again, I just love this movie. It was one of the best movies I've ever seen. I don't ever have a real criticism to it for this movie. I always just everything about it I've always loved. So there's my like I get a
Can I ask you guys, when was the first time that you saw the movie and where?
I watched it at home last year for the first time. And
Oh,
loved it.
really?
Yeah, it's
just as
recent
bad as
that I watched
Jonathan.
it. Oh no! Hey, listen. At least I've seen it before this podcast. All right, I didn't say.
Okay, but you
Sure.
can't have a leg up on you. Acting like you grew
I
up.
do have a
with this
leg up
movie.
on you, Jonathan, because I've seen it more than once.
Both don't have anything.
You just watched it for the first
So if
time.
I could watch this movie the second we hop off of here, and I'd be on the same par with you.
No,
Okay,
you wouldn't.
Yes, I would.
It's about attitude, Jonathan. You got to carry it with you. I've got a whole year up on you.
Whole year,
Alex,
sure.
Alex, what about you?
I remember being at home. I think we actually rented it at Blockbuster. My mom.
Kids, for those who want to know what Blockbuster is,
we're going through this again.
It's a video store.
Didn't we do this?
It's the physical version of Netflix. Yeah, I think my mom had rented it and we watched it together. And I was young. I want to say though, I was like maybe under 12 when I first saw it, because the movie did come out in 1991.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, 1985.
1985, yeah.
Yeah, so it had been out for a while. And I don't recall why she got it, or maybe she had seen it before, but I believe it was her, and then we just watched it at home and I enjoyed it. And I also remember Tim Curry from being from It. Mm-hmm. So I was like, hey, I know that voice, because, well, the makeup was a lot in it. So I recognized his voice almost immediately. And I was like, he has a certain type of laugh too, Tim Curry, that seems to carry over from film to film. Like his own laugh is so strong that I don't feel like he can hide his own laughter, which is like, it's deep, but it's also a little like, I feel like you have other plans and it scares me, but you're like a cool person, so I'm not going to judge too much.
The day I found out he was Nigel Thornberry, it blew my mind.
I was actually looking at his like film list. The man has like done every category, because he's been in The Addams Family, he's done Young Frankenstein, The Rocky Horror Picture Show, but he's also done like The Thornberrys, he's done SpongeBob, he's done Jimmy Neutron.
He was in Home Alone, the second one.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right. As the hotel concierge.
Mm-hmm.
I always forget. He's like in everything. You forget.
He isn't
what he's in.
Flint. He is. He's been in Transformers, Phineas and Ferb, like all these movies, from like young kids movies to like these creepy ones to these like guest starring in like, hey, he was in Hey Arnold. Oh, for quite a bit.
Oh really?
Yeah. He was in The Proud Family. What? He was there for an episode, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. He was Percival. So yeah, the range he has, he's one of the few actors that like, when I see his name in a film, I'm never like, oh no, I don't think he'll do well in this. I know this will be a good film because he's in it, or at least his part will always be good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Thinking of the like anybody excuse me. Is there anybody else on the cast that you guys really enjoy? Because Tim Curry is definitely like the standout. But then I think about like
Christopher Lloyd.
Yeah, Christopher Lloyd was good. I love Michael McKean as Mr. Green. I think he's very funny. I love Madeline Kahn as Mrs. White.
Martin Mull, because he was
I did love. Can we go into spoilers? I mean,
let's go into
spoilers. The movie's been out since 1985. There's no, if you haven't seen Clue yet,
I'm sorry.
Cut this off.
You just watched it in 2020 and you just watched it in 2021.
Yes,
I'm sorry. There are technically people who have not seen Clue.
Which is why I'm gonna say, if you haven't seen Clue, first of all, there's no excuse. I've been spoiled. Like, I'm surprised I made this long without.
Wait, let's go back to that, because you were giving Jonathan a lot of shit at the beginning. Why did it take you so long to see Clue? Why did you put it off?
Why did I put off watching
Yeah,
Clue?
why have you
Because
not
I didn't know
watched
it
it?
existed.
How did
The
you-
Well,
majority
no,
of the
actually, I didn't know it
time.
existed, but I didn't know anything about it.
I knew.
I'm
I think
offended by
I
both of you.
knew Clue. I don't think I knew Clue had existed until I saw another like I think so. I forget. Someone had told me about it. They were like, "Yeah, but like, or I think, or no, I know what it was. I had watched Knives Out, and then somebody was like, "Oh, if you really like Knives Out, you probably love Clue." I'm like, "Clue?"
Yeah.
They're like, "Yeah, Clue is like it's a really good murder mystery. Like that's my favorite, including this one." And I was like, "Okay, I'll give it a watch." And I watched, and it was on Amazon Prime, so I watched it and was blown away. I was like, "Oh my gosh, they're so right! This movie is
So-
incredible."
To be
It's a great
fair,
I
murder mystery.
want to understand this straight, Jerome. You didn't even know the movie existed, and then you watched it last year. Jonathan, you knew it existed, but you haven't watched it till this year.
correct.
Both of you.
To be
No.
to
And
be
because
fair,
of this
No.
to be fair,
podcast, at
no.
that, it's not even
Right.
because you were going to watch it on your own time.
to be fair, after like looking it up, it was it was in that like serial mom vein where it's a cult classic. When it was initially released, it didn't do well, and then
No,
it
it
went
did
on
not.
to become a cult classic. So
I'm disappointed in both of you. Let's go on to spoilers. That's all I have to say.
I didn't do this with y'all in Serial Mom, okay?
This is Clue. This is that other movie we had. That other movie we had complaints about. This movie does not. This movie's
I like
fantastic.
Serial Mom.
There's not a person who thinks this movie's a bad movie.
True. Here's the thing about here, but here's the thing. No, what I was gonna say is if you haven't seen Clue yet, stop this podcast. I mean it this time. Normally it's just jokes, but for real, do not watch past this point or listen to past this point. Go watch Clue. It's on Amazon Prime. You can watch it for free if you got Amazon Prime. Check it or rent it on YouTube for like $2. Go watch Clue. You will not regret it. It's a good movie, or rather, it's a great movie. Fantastic cast. It's very funny. Go watch it if you have the ability to, because blind people can't really watch much of anything these days.
Lord.
But still, listen to Clue. I guess I don't know, but that's your spoiler warning. All right, now we're just gonna get into the characters, the plot, all that jazz. So there you go. Okay.
Also, there is descriptive audio, so blind people can watch things. let's just put that up there.
This is true. I was making a bad joke. No, blind people are more than welcome to watch.
No,
any
I
movie.
saved you. Anyway, let's move on.
Just here. So it is a film, or it plays in a New England mansion. Guests come from Washington D.C., metropolitan area, and all around because Mr. Body is blackmailing them. And the movie starts off exactly like the game. You're all invited to a dinner party, lights go out, suddenly Mr. Body is dead, and you got to figure out who it is. And Mr. Body is blackmailing every person or player, in the game or the movie. And I really love how, because in a lot of the murder mysteries, people will turn against each other and then make stupid decisions because they're like, I don't trust you, and then fail. Include, they don't trust each other at all, and there's that big fight that erupts. Oh, how about you? You're being blackmailed for this. Oh, how about you? But they're still willing to break off into pairs and to search the house and still protect and help each other. So that's what I loved. A big thing about Clue was that it felt more realistic, because in a lot of murder mysteries, one of the characters tends to go insane and attack everybody, and is the one who, for some reason, always has a gun. Well, that's probably why they have a gun. This one wasn't like that. They didn't have the crazy person who just went completely insane, and now he's like, we gotta put him in a separate room and hold him down. No, this one was simply we're all kind of screwed together, so let's kind of work together.
I think that's the best part about it, is that it has the DNA of a murder mystery, but because the comedy is added on top of it. There's no need to feel like you have to do all the tropes of a murder mystery. They don't have the betrayal at some point. They don't have the like person who's just like unreasonable the whole time, or the idiot who like doesn't follow directions and then gets themselves killed. Like it's just we're a group of wacky characters and we're all making jokes and stuff like that. And while some characters die along the way, like Yvette and stuff, like it always feels like it's still in service to the joke and to the plot, and it flows really well. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh.
Go ahead.
No one said anything, so I was just gonna keep going until someone said.
Oh no, I was gonna say like I agreed that it had this like, it just had this also the energy of the characters never, you know how suddenly in a lot of murder mysteries or shows or movies they have the one character like with the Betrayal, there's suddenly the personality flips and it's like, well, that was completely out of character. All of these characters technically start off dirty.
True.
So if one of them had betrayed, it would have been like, well, I mean, he was blackmailing them for a particular reason. It's not like they were doing good. Like, who is it? Not Mrs. Peacock.
Miss Scarlet?
No, the other one.
Mrs. White?
The one who killed her husband?
Yeah. Yeah, that.
Yeah, Mrs. White.
Like, yeah, Mrs. White. Well, that one is like, okay, murder's not too far. Yeah, you only kind of killed your husbands. Like, you're a Black Widow style. But like murdering other people is not out of the realm. So like that wouldn't have been, except for like Mr. Green. His big secret was that he was gay.
Which is, that's the only thing I will say that kind of dates this movie, because that's like that's your issue. The rest of these people have like murdered people, and some of them have like espionage secrets they revealed to the government and all types of stuff. And your thing is, I'm gay.
Well, he works for...
except in the ending, in one of the endings where he says, "I'm gonna go home and sleep with my wife."
That made me laugh. I was like, "Dang, he wasn't even gay the whole time."
That was ending C.
Yes.
That was the last ending.
Which
and we want to talk about that?
I guess that could transition into us talking about the endings. Yeah. So the endings are, and Jonathan, you just did research, so maybe you know more than I do. Apparently it was like they wanted to do something special with the movie where it had different endings, and they put the different endings in different theaters for different movies. So you would go to one theater, watch Clue, and it'd have a completely different ending than if you went to a separate theater somewhere else. And I can't remember why they made that decision.
Well, they did it because it emulated the game of the nature of the board game where you could have multiple endings. Yeah, so they wanted to do it that way. And I read that apparently they told the audience which ending they were gonna get, which doesn't seem like it makes a lot of sense, because then it would ruin the movie. I'm not sure if that was at the beginning or the end.
Maybe like people wanted to be like, okay, well, you're gonna get ending A, so come watch the movie back for like an ending B or C or something.
Also, like, probably to avoid confusion, because you know how it goes. You see a movie and then you go talk to your friends about it, and it's like, oh, well, did you like the part at the end when Mr. Green kills everybody, like, or not kill everybody, and Mr. Green solves it, and he's like a cop? They're like, what movie did you see? That didn't happen. It just it's like,
were you high during the movie? Was I high during the movie?
It's like, no, that's what happened. That's what happened in the movie. No, I watched the one where Mrs. Peacock did it. That's the ending. Like, what are you talking about? So it probably was to help avoid that confusion too. At the same time.
And they so for the version that I'm assuming we all saw, was the one that they distributed to everybody like on VHS and when it was released in home media.
Yeah.
Where it was sequential.
I appreciate it like that though. I feel like it adds to the comedy a little bit to see all three endings back to back to back. Mm-hmm. Granted, I like the Mr. Green ending the best, where they all did it, and Mr.
right.
Green, mostly just because it has that cool ending line that fits with the game, where he's like, who killed what's his face? I did, with the revolver in the hallway. boom. And I was like, all right, that's cool. It ties the whole thing in because that's what you do at the end of Clue. You say who did it, with what weapon, at what location. I'm like, that's cool.
You guys had to choose a weapon. Which one would it be? The candlestick, the knife, a lead pipe, revolver, rope, or a wrench?
I mean, I feel
You
like the
know-
revolver makes the most sense,
I would choose the
or is the
candles-
most efficient.
I would choose the candlestick or the candle.
For aesthetic?
Well, because it's easier to hide. All you gotta do is knock somebody out, kill them with it, and then clean it up, and you can put it right on the table. No one would know a thing. It's just
Yeah,
like the
true.
lamb and cereal.
No,
Yeah.
but you got no. You got to think about this. That house was huge. It was an actual manor. Taking a candlestick from another room, and you have to run around because that whole house was about running around too, getting from this room to this room. There was a whole scene where Tim Curry's character was explaining how it's like, and you ran from this, and you ran for this. My favorite scenes in that movie was when he was acting it out, like when he acted.
I can't imagine the
He just, like,
amount
came out of the
of
fridge.
energy it took to do that scene. Because that man he did the whole movie. He did every scene from the whole film.
He did,
start
yeah.
to that current
Yeah.
point.
No kidding. I just like it was when he came falling out of the fridge as like the cook's dead body.
Right, as the dead
has
body.
always been one of my favorite scenes because Mrs. White still screams and like Mr. Green holds him for a second and just drops him like, wait a minute, I'm not doing this again.
Right, this isn't real.
So quickly going back to our discussion on the endings, I missed this when I was reading it earlier, but apparently a fourth ending was filmed where Wadsworth committed all of the murders. But
Yeah, that should
when
be
the
in
direct,
there.
That's the ending with Mr. Green, is that it's Wadsworth who did it. Or
No,
not Mr. Green, sorry. That's one of the endings though, is that Wadsworth did it.
well, wait, what?
Right? No,
No,
it's not. Sorry, it's Miss Scarlet did it in one ending.
And
Miss
then the other
Peacock
lady
did it in another ending, and then they all did it in the third.
Right.
Wait, I've seen the fourth ending though.
Well, it says a fourth ending was filmed, but Lynn removed it because he later stated it wasn't very good. I looked at it and thought, no, we've got to get rid of that. In the unused fourth ending, Wadsworth committed all of the murders. He was motivated by.
Oh, sorry. I was like, isn't he? He was technically Mr. Body. He was actually Mr. Body, and the person that they killed was his butler.
It says he was motivated by his desire for perfection. Having failed to be either the perfect husband or the perfect butler, he decided to be the perfect murderer instead. Wadsworth reports that he poisoned the champagne the guests had drunk earlier so they would soon die, leaving no witnesses. The police and FBI arrive and Wadsworth is arrested. He breaks free and steals the police car, but his escape is thwarted when 3 police dogs lunge from the backseat. This ending is documented in Clue, the storybook, a tie-in book released in conjunction with the film.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like a good ending.
Also,
Anthony Perkins from Psycho helped write the screenplay, and Stephen Sondheim.
I think the Miss Scarlet ending that is the reveal that he is his body.
It was Mr. Green. It was with Mr.
Oh,
Green.
that reveals.
I just reread the ending to that one. Yeah, no, it was with Mr. Green. So that was my bad.
Gotcha. Although my favorite scene, you were talking about Tim Curry falling out the fridge is your favorite. My favorite, 2 favorites is the singing telegram girl. Gets me every time. she just randomly pops up out of nowhere and then she just gets shot. And I'm just like, what is happening? So that gets me every time. And then and Mrs. White, when she's like there's flames on the side of my face. And like every time it's the way Madeline Kahn delivers it. She's just so good in that movie.
That was one of my favorite parts as well. And I looked it up, and apparently that scene was improvised. She improvised that.
She did.
And I believed it.
There's
and
also
it was a good moment.
The scene after the telegram girl got shot, that they open the door and they identify who she was connected to, the party, and then they just shut the door.
Yeah,
they're like, oh, the telegram. I had an affair with her in my office. Door closes. Like, Just left the like they were so meticulous about getting the other dead bodies like in the room. Nobody sees them. And then this one, it was just, we're just leaving that one on the doorstep.
I loved the moments where Mr. Green, they just lingered on the moments when Mr. Green was just a social outcast in that group. Like the moment where he's trying to sit down and everybody just sits down on the couch and he can't find a seat, so he sits on the table and then 10 seconds later the table falls down. I was thinking to myself, I'm like, oh, the table's about to fall right now, but it didn't. But then it fell like a random 20 seconds later. And then the moment where they break the matchsticks and he's like trying to match with everybody, but no one's interested in matching with him.
What did he call himself? I know there's a joke where Miss Scarlet calls him a fruit, and I was like, where did that? Isn't it that he calls himself like a shrink or something, or a quack or something?
Well,
well, no,
that was like a term
job.
for like the fruit. That was like a term for like.
No, I know what her joke was. I just can't remember what the setup was for the joke to be delivered. I don't know why I'm just harping on that. Anyway, he was my favorite character. I love Mr. Green. I think he's cool. Follow behind him was Mrs. White from Madeline Kahn.
I thought you were about to say the cop.
After Tim Curry, because Tim Curry is like gold standard in that movie. But behind him, those are my two. I love those characters. They do a great job.
I love when they get fed up with his running, where they're just like, stop it, just tell us, stop it. They're like, we can't do this again. I actually like Miss Scarlet's character. I thought she was super funny.
She's cool. She's really good.
Well, I think it's the ending where she's actually guilty is like my favorite. What makes her one of my favorites is because he's like telling her, "Oh, you did all this," and instead of getting mad, instead of being like, "Oh, like how dare you accuse me," she's just like, "You're right. Who are you, Perry Mason?" Which was an old detective show at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just one of my favorite things because it's just like she's not even mad. She's just like, you did so good. Like I can't even not be proud of you with how excellent you figured everything out so quickly in the night.
And it was just like that ending was believable because of her demeanor. I didn't quite believe. I wanted to call her Mrs. Potts, but that's Beauty and the Beast.
That's
Mrs. Peacock.
She does have that energy.
But Mrs. Peacock, I didn't quite as believe that one. I'm like, I can't really see her doing all that.
Well, I mean, she was the one who's actually doing the worst crime. She was the one doing proper felonies. Like another one was having affairs, murdering husbands. Well, we can all kind of forgive that for me. But she was like selling government secrets. She's the one who would have gotten most jail time. Let's say that. Murdering husbands is bad.
Yeah.
But she's the one who is actually could be charged for like treason and go to Guantanamo Bay. And like, I mean, I feel like doing that is not too far from like possibly end up killing, because like if you get caught for treason, you're screwed. You're really screwed.
I do have to say, my joke aside earlier about Yvette, that was also like it still did get me. And even though it's like very like bottom of the barrel humor, all the jokes with Yvette of just like when like they have to split up and Yvette's like, well, who will go with me? And every single dude is like, I'll go. And then Mr. Green in the back, like, no, thanks. I'm good. It just made like stuff like that just made me laugh. I was like,
I think she actually
the joke, she's hot. That's the joke.
I think she actually said, who will protect me? And they were like, oh, we'll protect you. Mr. Green's like, nope, I'm not taking a bullet for you.
And doesn't Mr. Green end up going with her?
Yes, and it's just so funny because everyone's like, God dang it. The one dude who don't want her. And I guess Wadsworth doesn't seem like he's into Yvette. He's like, I work with you. That's about it. That's our relationship.
I like the cook. I think anybody with a giant like that has that energy to just like scare people with like a giant knife is fun. And she had monkey brain soup. Do you remember that?
The slurping of the soup.
The slurping of the soup was so well timed out. But then also it's like, oh, it's monkey brain soup. Everybody was cool with that. We were like, okay.
No one better than
questioned
I.
it.
Listen, when you're hungry, you're hungry. Like I don't know what to tell you.
No, I still wouldn't eat it. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know about.
There's something about eating brains that's like
Yeah.
it feels too zombie like for me, and that's like the final frontier for me. It's like if I eat a brain, any animal, that's it. I think I'm part zombie now. But
I love the comedy in this reminds me so much of Airplane. If either of you have seen that movie. And how snappy it is. Like the dialogue just flies off the tongue. I couldn't imagine like how many table reads or rehearsals they probably had to do to like get it down of just like saying those lines as fast as they do, because they come at rapid fire sometimes. Like they have a good mix of slapstick humor with dialogue or dialogue humor, but it just rolls off the tongue so fast that if you're not paying attention, you really will miss some things.
Yeah.
But that's like the best thing about comedy is when it's like when it comes that fast. Like those are some of the best comedies, in my opinion.
It was also simple little things like when they're about to split up, Colonel Mustard goes to check on the bodies, and he's like just checking, and Mrs. Peacock's like, everything all right? He's like, yeah, 2 corpses, everything's fine, let's go. So it's like also just like little bits like that were so well timed, because they're about to go off and like search this giant scary manor, and here he goes, he's like, oh thank God, okay, there's still 2 dead people here, we're all good, this is fine. Let's now venture into the dark house. So
I think the dark comedy
so well
elements definitely are the thing that makes this unique too, because it could just be a straight comedy, but the fact that it's also a dark comedy and there's a lot of dark humor in this. Like there's at one point they just sit with a body and they're just like, and it looks like they're trying to make out with it. The cops.
Oh yeah,
like,
no, well
this is fine.
Man, that's that between the 80s and 90s, I feel between Serial Mom, Clue, like the dark comedy of the 80s and 90s, it feels like it was popping.
They're like Weekend with Bert or
Weekend at Bernie's, yeah.
Yeah, where they just walk around with a dead body too.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's because you don't hear about dark comedies as much anymore nowadays.
Well, there's dark comedies, but it's different where you're not involved in just hanging out with dead bodies, apparently.
Well, because I think about, I forget the name of the movie, but there's a dark comedy with Ryan Reynolds where he is, I think he has like schizophrenia or something, and he has like
voices.
Yes, voices where he has like schizophrenia, and so he kills people, but the movie is through his lens, so everything looks bright and colorful, and the like dead people talk to him, like he has like severed heads in the fridge, and the severed heads talk to him, like having just a normal conversation.
He doesn't go outside with them. He doesn't act like they're like hanging
out.
No, but it's he knows he killed them.
But it's the thing of like that's the level of dark comedy we're at now in this modern era. It's kind of like it's dark, but it doesn't push the boundaries enough, I feel like, to be a real to be like the same dark comedies from back in the 80s and 90s. Where Serial Mom goes there. Like Serial Mom gets insane with the places it goes. Clue not as much as Serial Mom. Clue kind of stays rather in pocket. But it's like I can't think of any dark comedy.
So it's a more family friendly. Clue is a more family friendly film.
Yeah, Clue I can show to my like future kids. I can't show my future kids Serial Mom, especially with the language.
Why not?
Like the language alone and the nudity at that.
My mom let me watch like The Exorcism when I was 10.
That doesn't mean you're supposed to, Alex. That just means
don't limit your children's creativity by limiting what they're watching.
They'll be able to watch that stuff when I'm confident they understand that it is a movie and not to say those things when their mother's around. So like I didn't get to watch Blade until I was like 15 with my dad. Actually, that's not true. Probably when I was like 12, actually. I watched Blade.
That's right. My mom just gave me a horror film and was like, you're fine.
Well, speaking of today, like relating this to like movies today, um, a remake has been in the works for it seems like the
No.
past 10 years.
They can't.
Um,
It won't
Oh.
be as good.
you
I'm
know they
sorry.
will though.
They
Well,
could try, but it won't be as good. They're gonna get
Well,
too
it says
wrapped up in trying to make it more
it,
like the board game or make it too much like the old movie, and it won't be good.
it says first Ryan in 2018, Ryan Reynolds was attached to star in it, and then Jason Bateman was in talks to direct and star in it, and then in February 2020, it looks like that was the last update of it.
But see, that's what they did with Neil Gaiman's Sandman, because I was reading up on it. It has been in pre-production for almost 15 years, and it started at Warner Brothers, but they failed, and it started with other production companies, and finally Netflix has gotten a hold, and they're actually moving forward with everything. It's going to be released. So like, I feel like it feels almost better that it's been in taking this long, because most likely it won't happen. Because they
I
really
think I,
there's certain
I
movies you should not touch. Just stop
I
it.
think I think the only way it could land really well is if they maybe had an all black cast or an all Latin cast or an all Asian cast or one of those and did it that way. I think that would be a lot of fun.
I don't think. Here's the thing. I don't
I would
think it'll.
You would
Having an
leave?
all Latin cast would be somebody throwing a chancla and then we leave. Are you all
It's
sick? Oh
true.
no, actually the new Candyman shows that black men now go down the scary
This-
dark stairwell. So
Actually, no black person goes down any long stairwell in Candyman. Remember,
No,
there's a
you're
whole
right. He
scene
just
specifically
goes
of that where she
into,
looks
like,
down
that-
the door corridor.
She says nope.
and
no.
closes it.
No. The black women are fine. The black women are doing just fine. The black man in that movie kept going into dark, creepy places, very much alone.
That's because he was
With very
possessed. That's different.
expensive
He was already
equipment.
possessed by that point. And also, he's a bougie black man. They don't count.
Well, those were bougie people in the film. Those were people who were married to senators.
Yeah,
They
bougie
were
white
who had
people.
money.
They're different. They gonna stay there and just deal with this body.
You just called them a bougie. I don't know. I'm
But-
still leaving.
Regardless, it just won't be better. And on top of that, we already have Knives Out. So anything they do will instantly be compared to that, because that's the most recent murder mystery thing we've had that is done well. In fact, the sequel is going to be coming to Amazon Prime, right?
Netflix.
Or Netflix. Okay. So
Which
it's like
I
that
don't
already
entirely know
exists.
what
So
the
they're
sequel's
not.
about.
Well,
Yeah,
they're just going to do.
he's going to like they filmed it in like somewhere like Greece or something. They
Well,
filmed
no,
it.
they're gonna do Knives Out is just gonna be the Knives Out series is gonna be just like Agatha Christie novels. Every movie will be its own self-contained story
Oh.
with a new cast and new mysteries.
But Daniel Craig is still the detective.
Yeah, and Daniel Craig will be the main detective. Like he'll be the
See
main
that
threat.
that I can get under. That I can get under. I like, because Knives Out, like Clue, was in itself just a good story.
Mhm.
I think a lot of times they're so worried about like making a franchise or doing, all this other stuff that they forget, like, hey, we can just have a movie and tell a good story. This wouldn't be so bad if it's like an Agatha Christie thing going on, a different style, but with the same main detective. That'd be okay. I think that would be a lot better than them trying to continue the Knives Out story.
Yeah.
Knives Out just turned out so well. And yeah, you're right. It's a similar game to Clue. And it also has, but instead of like looking for like a creepy thing in a manor or trying to find like secret passageway, exactly that it's mainly the family is like the house that you have to go through, and you get scared when the main character was alone with each individual character, because you didn't know what they were capable of. And the same way with this film, when they were doing the pairs, you actually didn't know what each character was capable of because they were being blackmailed. So one was, murdering, treason, I think one had arson. So like they also had such a range of like, this could be the time they finally murder, which I think that was like Mrs. Peacock's game, that she reached that point of murder. From her treason, she became a murderer. But
Yeah. So I don't think it would do well, to be quite honest. It would really depend on what the story is and who wrote it and who, like, If Christopher Lloyd and Phil Lord and Christopher Miller do it, I'll watch it. But outside of them, I don't see anybody else doing it and doing it well.
I would need Tim Curry to like heavily like advise on the film. Like him and Christopher Lloyd. No, not so much Christopher Lloyd. But mainly Tim Curry. He's got to have a heavy say in what goes on in that movie. I feel like that's the only way I'd be willing to watch or give it a chance.
Continuing his legacy.
If he was somehow a part of it, like production, advising, even like in a tiny scene, that's the only way I'd be willing to watch it. I'd be like, okay, like I said, I've never seen a bad movie with him in it, so like I trust Tim Curry's presence.
The only saving grace is that Clue is one of the few board games where a movie premise is the game of like, what would you do in a murder mystery movie? Like that's what Clue is, versus like other board games are just that. They're games first, not movies. Like Monopoly has no movie attached to it. It's just, I don't know, buy property.
I know a game, a board game that has a movie attached to it. Do y'all remember Seen It?
I do.
Seen It?
And I don't think there's a movie that should be attached to that board game.
Seen It?
Seen
like
it,
movie
but
trivia.
But it's like attached. You would have like a DVD or a stack of DVDs in the box.
Okay, you mean literally.
I have no idea what's going on.
Exactly. It had literal movies attached to the game.
Shut up, Jonathan. Okay.
I mean,
it was a fun game. It was a fun game.
No idea what's going on.
I forget how you play it.
Seen it would like when you would get Seen It, you could get like Seen It editions, like Seen It Harry Potter edition, and then it would come with Harry Potter in DVD form. You'd plug it in, and then like I think when you watch the DVD, I think it would literally stop, and it'd be like, and then it would ask you a question like, who is the character that's going to be behind this door? Is it A so and so, B so and so? And then you would like, and that's like was part of the game because it was always movie trivia stuff. That's why it was called Seen It, like seen as in SCENE.
Vaguely know what you're talking about. Like I
also remember they had cards and stuff. I don't remember what those were about. Yeah.
The only other movie I could see like that could, or a board game you could turn into a movie that would work really well is Betrayal at the House on the Hill. But that's just a horror movie. Like,
the House on the Hill.
Betrayal at the House on the Hill. You ever played that board game?
No.
It's actually built a lot like Clue, except like you were revealing each room as you walk around, and then eventually if you as you're like invited to this house on the hill, as you get to whatever room, and then eventually whichever player gets to a certain room, they'll become like some type of specific monster. And then in the game there's like a series of different monsters. There's like, you could be like a Hydra. I played one game where I ended up being like a zombie lord, and I had a bunch of zombie minions at my disposal. You could become like a mad scientist who has like all these powers. It's always different every game because there's so many different characters you can be. And then at that point, that player would then go off on their own, like in another room in the house, if you're playing in a house or wherever, to read how their monster manual works and how they can win the game, because it changes.
This is already like
everybody else
kind of boring me and too long.
It's not as elaborate as I'm trying to explain it, but it's a lot of fun. Alex,
I would not.
I believe you would really have a good time playing it. I'm just explaining it.
I think
it'd be boring and dull.
Fun playing, but like to put it in a movie wise, we got to find the monster manual.
No. The movie, in fact, if anything, the way I'm describing it, the movie's already been made. It's called Cabin in the Woods, technically, because that's basically what it is. The people show up at a place, they go into an area where technically a series of monsters can be chosen. They choose one item, that's the monster chosen for this specific adventure, and then they have to fight it. That's the game.
I will say, you can argue Game of Thrones was just Dungeons and Dragons.
I would say Lord of the Rings is Dungeons and Dragons, because that's what inspired the game Dungeons and Dragons to be made, was Lord of the Rings. So I'd say Lord of the Rings is Dungeons and Dragons, because Game of Thrones, there's too much politics, not enough magic and like creatures for Dungeons and Dragons. Dungeons and Dragons is filled to the brim with monsters. Like there's barely any monsters in Game of Thrones. There's only dragons, and
I don't know enough about Dungeons and Dragons to be able to compare it to anything.
I don't either. I heard Dungeons and Dragons, and I know one show that had dragons.
That
That was it.
Yeah, Lord of the Rings is Dungeons and Dragons for sure. Although they are working on a Dungeons and Dragons movie.
They only had a dragon.
I think in the history there are more dragons. It's just we've only seen one in the books, but you haven't read the Salmeridian or whatever it's called, which is the textbook on Lord of the Rings history.
I actually own it, yeah, but I have not read it. It's just hangs out there.
I haven't read it because I'm not that nerdy. I can't get through it. I don't want to read a textbook off anything fictional.
Well, I wanted to, but then it's just hanging out there with the other Lord of the Rings books I got.
It's just like people who own the book Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them because they want to know about every single Harry Potter creature. Like I don't have that type
I like that movie.
The movie is good.
People suck.
But you can buy the book. Like you can actually have Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, like the book written by Newt Scamander as well.
Do you guys think this movie would have scared you if you watched it as a kid? Clue?
No.
I don't think so. But I could definitely see myself watching it as a kid.
Same.
And
I can see my parents showing me this as a kid. It wasn't. You know what it is though, and why I'm sure I didn't know it existed. Because I'm sure my parents have never seen this movie, or if they have forgotten it. like instant. It has not left an impact on them enough to be like, oh, you gotta watch this. So it's like,
I know that there have been stage adaptations of Clue, and rightly so, because the movie works perfectly for a stage play version. Takes place in one place.
How you would do the scene transitions of like the ballroom and the hallway and the dining room.
Darling, it's theater. Anything can be done.
I'm about to ask, Jonathan, how would you do it? How do you think
that's an actor? He's not a stagehand.
Right.
Well, he's done plays and stuff. He knows at least the process.
No. Stagehands are like wizards. I've seen like videos of them. They're insane. They're movement.
I'm just saying. Jonathan, how many theater performances have you watched? Whether they be like on TV, like on like in digital format, or just like gone in person or been in?
Well, it would depend on whether you had a big budget or a low budget. Because if you had a low budget, then you would just move like chairs and stuff around and say, "This is the living room now." But if you had a big budget, you could actually like make things that turn and then you're in a different room, or lift curtains up and then you're in a different room, or have one set and then when you get back from an intermission, have another set.
Or even the change of lighting can affect so much in a play.
Right, lighting.
When we saw The Woman in Black, there was like the way they utilized that stage to do the whole mansion was incredible. I didn't think they had
how they do it.
I'm just saying
they could do it.
But see, here's the thing: that mansion is supposed to be creepy, creaky, and dark. Like you're only going to be in a few rooms. This has like a kitchen, which looks nothing like a kitchen, even if you're in your imagination. Looks nothing like a living room. Those are two very different rooms.
You just move the tables and then like put a covering over the fridge. There, you got a living room.
I'm sure there's a version on YouTube that you could watch right now and see how it's done.
True. That's true.
I'm sure there's some high school production of it somewhere.
Yeah.
If high school kids are doing this, I would be thoroughly impressed. I
think there are creative kids out there. The reason I asked that, because like my mom kind of let me watch whatever I wanted at a young age. That's why I was like, would your parents have let you watch it? Like, what age range do you think would have been acceptable to watch this?
That's a good question.
Probably when I was 8. I think my parents would have let me watch this at 8.
Probably like 8 to 10 and up. Because you know, the content itself. So the thing for me, the reason why I think you could watch it that young is because obviously there's killing and stuff. But in today's standards, and even back then, I guess, that's like nothing compared to what you could show in,
Yeah,
in
no,
that.
it was actually like TV style murder because the person got shot, but you never saw blood, you never saw bullet
it was
holes.
always
You were
off
just like,
screen.
Right.
it was
I
like
think
that old style shows.
I said 8 because I'm thinking about the sexual content, like more or less, because it's like the first thing you see is like a buxom French maid who's in like stockings and has like her cleavage all the way out, and it's
Gotcha.
like, you know, I at least knowing granted my experience is different than most because my parents were like 2 ministers, so they'd probably be like, absolutely not, I'm not gonna let my like 8-year-old son be seeing. Now my dad probably wouldn't have cared, but my mom would have.
No,
like,
my
I'm not
mom
gonna
was
let my
the same
8-year-old
way.
son
She
see.
put a little more restriction on like things that had a higher sexual content. She was fine with blood and murder, and I even brought that up to her. I was like, "Why were you cool with me watching this stuff as a kid, but like if this had a little sex scene, you freaked out?" She's like, "Well, you gotta put limits somewhere." She's like, "That's where I put my limit there." I was like, "That's the best."
But you know, I mean, maybe they might have, because I think about like I remember watching like CSI and stuff with my family, like on the couch when I was like 8 or 9. So,
And that's even more
like,
gruesome.
right. So it's like I feel like maybe they probably would have let me see it and just been like, it's a product of its time. It is what it is. Like no one is having sex. And you know, whatever.
And Yvette was a very hypersexual character, but there's actually no sex in the movie. Nobody, like, unless you were hanging out with the dead body, nobody made out. There was no like aggressive.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah,
that scene was hilarious where
the cop is just like, "Oh, that's perfectly fine. What are you talking? Are you like,
right.
like, oh, it's legal? Sir, really?"
There's a name for that in film where one character thinks something is something else. They're having a conversation and they think they're talking about the same thing.
I mean, in grammar, it's called situational irony, I think, or something, right? Or no, that applies to the audience. The audience knows something that the character doesn't. That's situational irony. My bad. No, never mind. But I know what you're talking about. There is a term for it.
Right. But yeah, this movie was fun.
This movie was good, and I can't gush about it more than I already have. Like I even though, yes, I've only seen the movie a year ago, but one thing is for sure, I can tell you this: when I have my future kids, I will have them watch this when they're ready. And
when they're ready,
it will definitely be.
Son, you need to sit down. We need to have the discussion of Clue.
Like, you know, I just mean, like,
are
you know,
ready to watch Clue?
First of all, I'm not gonna have no 2-year-old who can't appreciate
discuss.
Clue just gonna be looking at me like, "Daddy, where the Cheerios at? Watch the movie. This is the good part right here. You don't know nothing about this, right?"
Or you can play Clue while watching Clue, and you be like, "Look, that's Mrs. Peacock."
That's true. Yeah, I will definitely have this as like one of my movies that'll be a thing of like, we gotta watch this. Like, you've gotta watch this movie. It's definitely a classic that I will at least make a tradition of, like, dang it, our kids will know about Clue.
It's a good holiday. I feel like it's a good holiday movie.
It's good for Thanksgiving, surprisingly.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're in a household with a bunch of people you want to kill eating dinner.
There we go.
From the first Thanksgiving to now, that's kind of what it is.
Also, it like, this movie does perpetuate my idea that it's like, when white people are having family dinner, because you'll actually hear spoons and plates hitting the plate.
That's true, but that was a different circumstance because these people didn't know each other.
I mean, even still though, Black people walk into a room of people they don't know and just start conversation for no reason, just because it's too awkward to be quiet.
Like, food from a certain Mexican restaurant, and I usually order out, but sometimes I'll come in. They already call me gordita there. They gotten so familiar. I've only seen them like 3 times. They're like, oh, yeah, no, and I'm like, one, rude. Two, give me my food.
That is
I'm not
mean.
gonna, but I'll let the abuse happen because they make good tacos, and I'll take it. I'll take it.
I'm
man.
just saying, in a culture where
That's now you understand my abuse that I took. Never mind. I don't want to put him on blast like that. Never mind.
Well,
I'll tell
I
you
just-
off.
No, I know what you mean. I know what you did. I teased you, but I'll take the abuse. If they're good food, I'm not gonna walk away. It's hard to find
I
good
just
food.
in a culture where Black people just give the head nod and say hi to other Black people, they don't know as if they do just because they are also Black. I feel like don't matter if we're in the room with people we know, we'll still just be like, how you doing? What's going on? How's your mother doing? Yeah. Random
That's
questions
true,
to start
man.
flying.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're loud. Actually, the first time my stepdad came to our like a Christmas, I think it was Christmas or Thanksgiving, he tried to figure out why everybody in our family was yelling. My mom had to be like, no, 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 we're not yelling. This is us talking.
This is how we
This is
talk.
all of us just talking. Because we can't have a conversation with the person next to us. You got to talk to the person across the table.
No,
from
I'm
you.
not yelling. That's how I talk.
That's how I talk. Because I was discussing somebody with you never talk to the person next to you. You have to address the other person across the table. Why? I don't know. But that's how it works out.
No, I'm just thinking about that Dave Chappelle sketch where he says for the Sam Jackson beer, he's talking about, can you stop yelling at me, please? No, I can't stop yelling because that's how I talk.
Or that. Anyway, we're going off the deep end, but that SNL sketch with Leslie Jones. And it's
Same.
like,
Leslie
and she works
always
at Best
loud.
Buy.
Good
And she works at Best
God.
Buy. And she works at Best Buy, and the new employees mocking her. And he's like, oh, yeah. And she walks in. She's like, what are you doing? And he's like, what are you talking about? This is how I talk. 5 years later, this is how I talk. Leslie Jones. Oh, I knew you was faking 5 years later.
Yeah, she kept up the accent. I remember that one. There's also
Uh-huh.
she did it on the what's a weekly update where Colin just said something. And she's like, "This is how I talk." Like she's just yelling. Like I'm just loud, which is like fair. I mean, I
It's
get
why
loud sometimes too myself.
it's the thing though. That was my issue with Ghostbusters, where I was like, okay, are all y'all just gonna be all SNL characters for the entirety of this movie? Kristen Wiig's the awkward one. What's her name? Like the only one who's playing a
Kate
character is
McKinnon.
Kate McKinnon. She's the only one who's actually like not herself. Everybody else is pretty much who they are and everything. Leslie Jones is the loud Black girl. Kristen Wiig's the weird, awkward one. Melissa McCarthy is the like what's it called? Outrageous big girl. Like they do the same type in everything.
All right,
I'm like,
focus back to the movie.
you know,
No,
regardless,
I agree with you. I agree with you.
what's your grades for Clue? Like, transition.
I'm simply an A+ because this movie has been one of my favorites for years. I have rewatched it so many times. And I love it. I could never find anything bad to talk about it. And no matter how many times I have watched this movie, it still makes me laugh, which is very rare because usually when I get used to a movie, it's just like, yeah, I remember that scene, that was funny. But this one will still make me laugh. And I just love that. And again, Tim Curry, one of my favorite actors. I genuinely can't find anything wrong with this film. That's pretty much it. So it's like the only movie I can ever give A+ to. That and The Mummy, the real Mummy. Don't do that.
Like the original
I-
1930s.
No, the
movie?
one with Brendan Fraser.
Oh,
That's the only
I see.
other one. But this movie's
fair.
this movie is just great.
I give this an A+. I have a list of golden comedies up there, is stuff like Airplane and Naked Gun, other things, and this is definitely up there with them. I love this movie so much ever since I've seen it, which was a short time ago, but you better be damn sure I'm never gonna forget it. Like this is an incredible movie. If you haven't seen it and somehow you're still been listening after I told you to cut this off about an hour ago now, that's fine. Appreciate the support, but go watch Clue. Go enjoy yourself. Have a good time. If you know someone who hasn't watched Clue, invite them over. As long as they're vaccinated, invite them over and be like, come sit down. You need to watch a movie with me. Don't even tell them what it is. Just let them come and be surprised at how good it is. Because it's just that good.
Nobody's gonna ever be upset watching Clue.
Oh yeah.
Right.
They will have a good time. They'll be like, I don't know what this is, but I'm glad I'm watching it.
I feel like we should have ended on one of y'all's because I'm gonna give it an A.
What?
Where's
You
the
were the
plus
one.
at,
No,
Jonathan?
no.
Where's the plus at, though? I didn't hear you say plus. I didn't hear no plus. I didn't hear that syllable come out your mouth after behind that A. What's that about?
I
An
mean, you got a
A
point.
partly because
For the first time ever, I agree with Jerome. Which problem?
I have no problems with this movie at all. I really enjoyed it. I had a great time. One of the reasons why I didn't give it that plus is partially because of my fault, because I feel like I wish I would have watched it as when I was growing up or in my younger days. In my younger days, but also because it was a fun time for me. I really enjoyed watching that. I can't emphasize that enough. But in order to give a movie an A plus, I have to be constantly thinking about the movie at least 24 hours after I watch it. That didn't happen for this movie, but that doesn't discredit it at all. So that is the reason why I give this movie an A.
Your criteria for A plus is not at all the same as mine.
I mean, to be fair, well, in all fairness, look what happens when he just gives a high grade to a movie. He'll change
exactly
it over the episodes.
That's fair. That's true.
He's got PTSD from
Malcolm and Marie.
Right. To be fair, I don't think anybody's going to be writing any think pieces about Clue anytime soon where it's like Clue just did this completely wrong.
You'll be surprised that, or no, not that, not, I was going to say think pieces in the opposite direction of Clue changed the game for comedy.
It did.
Maybe.
You know what? To Taylor's point, though, to Taylor's point, Clue is the first and only movie I can think of based off a game that's actually good.
No, and I agree. That's also what I said. All these other movies tried to do it, but they are so bad, and it's because the games they chose never had a real story behind them first. And that's what Clue always had. It had a real story first, that with the game. So it had a premise to build off of. Monopoly is just the sad life we all live, really.
Of being too broke to afford a house.
Candyland sounds like something that should have been a horror film, but ended up being a weird kids film.
Candyland would be a good show. I don't know if it would make a good movie.
You know what they should make a movie out of? Guess Who?
I love that.
I could see that. I could see that actually. I was gonna say,
although I don't know what the premise would be, but
the
premise could be
Candyland pretty much like Strawberry Shortcake. They went through all the Candyland.
Actually, yeah, pretty much.
So technically that show worked.
It already exists.
But who is? I used to love that.
But guess who? I could see that. It would be, maybe the premise would be they're looking for somebody and it's a master disguise, and so he constantly keeps changing his face, being
okay, yeah.
Although
you just pitched the movie.
Don't remake Master of Disguise though. That movie was trash, and nobody needed to see that again.
Next retro review, Master of Disguise.
Oh my god, yeah, that.
I just remember the turtle scene.
Everyone remembers the damn turtle scene.
The only funny part of that film. And that whole you punched him with a closed fist.
But no, I could see that being made into a movie. I could see Betrayal of the House on the Hill, definitely. I can't think of any others that I can really see popular board games. Hey, Cheddar.
Right, the legendary.
Yeah,
the upper echelon.
There's 1,000 board games to choose from, but
Scrabble, we got Scrabble.
Scrabble as a movie would be so funny. Wait, that is a movie. It's called Akilah and the Bee. We already got that movie.
Isn't that just like Wheel of
Starring
Fortune?
Kiki
really?
Palmer.
Are you biting me right now? Really? Isn't that just like Wheel of Fortune? You kind of guess letters to make a word.
No, Wheel of Fortune is a whole other thing. And also, that'd be funny if they made a Wheel of Fortune movie.
Are you stuck on me? He's stuck on me.
Anything goes nowadays. We got Clifford the Big
already.
Red Dog.
I mean,
we got
listen, Rock'em Sock'em Robots is getting a movie, okay? Anything's possible. No one even plays with Rock'em Sock'em Robots anymore.
Is it the two fighters are human, or it's actual robots? Because
the way
Isn't that like Big Friendly Giant?
So, in fact, have both of y'all seen Real Steel?
No.
No.
Okay.
I
One day
watch
we
good
got to do a
movies.
retro review of Real Steel. It's actually a pretty good movie.
No.
But here's the thing. Here's the premise of Real Steel. Real Steel is about Hugh Jackman plays a retired boxer who now lives in the world of robot boxing, where they build robots to box. And his son.
I like how you said robot boxing, where they build robots to box.
That's right. And it's like a professional thing. And but he's kind of like a deadbeat dad. And his son, who he's not really attached with, comes on the road with him when they find a robot that's like a training bot, but is like the underdog, but can take a lot of hits. And so they become like a legendary duo and all types of stuff. There's extra minutia, but that's the story, right? Dad reconnects with his son, and there's robots boxing. Simple premise.
He could have just been a better father.
That's the lesson he has to learn throughout the movie. Rock'em Sock'em Robots. The premise is, according to Vin Diesel, is that a father reconnects with his son during in a world where robots fight.
These fathers in movies really gotta get.
What I'm saying
together.
is, he's remaking Real Steel.
Wait, isn't that the premise of also the Lego movie?
No. The premise of the Lego movie is that there's a dad who likes Legos a lot, and he doesn't know how to let his son just have fun.
Is it kind of a reconnection though? Because he distanced himself from his son by playing with Legos in the basement.
See, but the difference is that at least dad's around. At least he's like around. Rock'em Sock'em Robots and Real Steel. It sounds like these dads aren't even anywhere near them. Like these kids are with their moms. And if it wasn't for the fact that mom got sick or mom died or whatever the heck happens to mom, because movies don't like happy couples that are married and have kids. If it wasn't for that fact, these fathers would never interact with their kids, probably. Like ever. So you got to give the Lego movie that. At least dad's around. He knows where his dad's at, in the basement, playing with his Legos.
Like that doesn't make it better. That just makes it creepier on a certain level. Where's your dad all the time? Oh, he's in the basement doing what? Playing with Legos, making imaginary cities. There's a Batman thing down there too, I think, but I'm not allowed to go down there.
That's the thing they never answered, and I wanted an answer. Do all the Lego movies take place in this same basement? Does he have a Batman set somewhere by the side and a Ninjago set somewhere to the side, or are these separate house? Well, actually, no. They did answer.
He's a YouTuber. The dad's a YouTuber, and yes, he's doing stop motion with all the.
No, the Ninjago one belongs to Jackie Chan. They did answer that one. Jackie Chan owns the Ninjago one because he's Asian.
Off track a lot. I'm gonna help end this.
Although I do want to say real quick. So a movie that is in production right now, based on, it's not a game, but it's a toy. So technically in the same realm.
Stretch Armstrong?
No, the Barbie movie. Starring Margot Robbie.
Margot Robbie, that's right.
And directed by Greta Gerwig.
No, this is gonna be a live action one.
Yeah, this will be live action, and it'll be like, it's directed by Greta Gerwig, who's like an Oscar nominated director. So I'm interested to see where she takes this. And also Ryan Gosling is rumored to play Ken.
I'm calling it now. It's going to be a female empowerment movie about how Barbie is every woman. They're going to play Shaka Khan's every woman, as a matter of fact.
Have you ever watched a Barbie movie? They are all female empowering movies.
That's what I'm saying. That's not a joke. That's going to be the movie. It's like, because
why do you say it like that? Oh, it's going to feel. Because that's what Barbie is.
Because that's the like, because unfortunately, while I'm not joking, that's what the movie's going to be. The thing is that's the first thing you would write on the list of what a Barbie movie that is. There's no creativity in that. It's just because what else would you do with Barbie?
To do so many jobs. I can barely.
Right. That's Barbie's whole thing, is that she is every woman. Like, she can do anything. She's been an astronaut. She's a male woman. She's a lawyer, a doctor, a veterinarian. pediatrician, gynecologist. She's been them all. She can do
I
everything.
feel like we have this energy to argue when we're both saying the same thing. So we really should end this podcast. With
We'll end this now.
The energy staying a certain level, and I don't think anything good's gonna
We'll
come of
continue it
now.
on to next week. We'll find
talk
something
about the
new to
Barbie
argue
movie.
about.
Well, next
Regardless,
episode's all
I'm still
gonna be
gonna
about
watch
the
it,
Barbie
though.
movie.
I'm gonna watch
Yes.
this Barbie movie. You better believe
Me
that.
too.
Line
I'm actually really interested to. Anyway, this is not a review of the
I'm
Barbie
curious
movie.
to see what the trailer's gonna look like. I feel like it's gonna be good. I do. I honestly.
Yeah.
You can watch the Barbie movie. We'll watch the Barbie movie.
We'll review the Barbie movie.
2022, whenever it comes out, early 2023.
So
who
this
knows?
has been the Clue review.
That's gone all over the place.
Yeah, it really has. What are your guys' social, Jonathan?
Yes, you can find me at Jonathan Keys on Twitter, Instagram, wherever you please. Jerome.
You can find me at Not Jerome Rhett on Instagram, as well as at RoboZoo Media as well. And also check out our YouTube page at The First Ones to Die. We're always uploading stuff there with mini reviews, book reviews, gaming content, and video versions of all of our podcasts. So you can find all that good stuff there to go check out. And there's more extra content coming. So do be on the lookout for more stuff that's coming down the pipeline.
And you can find me at Alex and Nobody and on TikTok with Alex and Cheddar. Or I handle the account, for the podcast, First Ones to Die, where you can see little clips of our videos or nonsense that I put up there because I get really bored in my life. The First Ones to Die is also where you can email at us at gmail.com, and all our other social media, such as Twitter, Instagram, and anywhere else that we can be found on any social media or streaming platform. Come find us.
Yes. And we'll see you all next week. Peace out.
For something.
For-
we don't know what
for
we're gonna do
something,
yet,
yeah.
but
We're
it's gonna be
gonna,
something.
we're gonna argue about the Barbie movie, even though there's nothing to argue about.
Yep.
true.
Yep.
Yeah.
We will be
Listen,
talking about governmental politics, and we will argue about the Barbie movie.
She was a congresswoman.
Hey,
Bye, guys.
That's true.
see ya.
Bye.